So it's my great pleasure to welcome you, Alex.
Hello,
And
Ian.
hi, Alex. So you're talking to me from the northern part of Romania in Cluj-Napoca, the northern western part, which I visited a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed my stay there. It's very fresh air and a nice calm pace of life. And when we first met a few years ago, you kind of introduced yourself to me as an entrepreneur. And since then, you've become certified as a trainer in nonviolent communication, and we've had the opportunity to spend some time together. And one thing that I was really impressed with when we met, because I've met your family as well, and I've seen you with your family, was just the quality of connection between you and your wife. There was a sweetness and a kind of a partnership with it, and I sensed a lot of love and respect between the two of you. And also, having spent some time with you and your daughter, I've really enjoyed watching how you both relate to your daughter. Um, so I was really curious to kind of learn more about, what are some of the secrets to your success, as I see it from the outside, a successful relationship. So I'm wondering, how do you make the big decisions between you and your wife?
Yeah, before answering your question, is that was a very similar description of you and Mona and your daughter Emma when I get back from the retreat when I first met you, and I said, "Oh, I just met this wonderful family, and they interact so nicely, and it's something that I'm looking up to." So, in a way, uh, it might seem like you need to have these glasses in order to to recognize it. So,
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. We can see in others either things that we're missing ourselves or things that we have in ourselves.
yeah, yeah, or what we aspire. Yeah, it's kind of the same. So, taking decisions, we I just want to tell you the last experience that we had, which kind of went the other way around. I know this interview should be eternal, not in the context of today, but we think it's important to say that we are in June 2020, just few months. I mean, it's COVID; it's still very present in
Yeah.
our lives, and we just had already about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks in the apartment, and we realized that our old dream of moving to a countryside or a house now was uh, now was so obvious that having the the separation, the isolation in an apartment is very different from one having in the house. So this issue came back again, the master strategy of moving to a house who can solve so many of our needs. So we had some, not a conversation, just dropping there, oh, oh, if we, so something like regrets, but not actually having a conversation about it. And it was just hanging there. And then I had the opportunity to test mediation game from Grok, and I said, "All right, let's give them feedback." They asked for feedback, so I would like to see for something real, and I proposed to my wife, "Let's do this in a Grok manner, like, and let's talk about this topic, which is a big decision. Do we move or not? Like, what a better time than this one to take this decision?" And it was a process that went actually for 2 days, because in the first day it got a little bit late. And this mediation process, even if it was okay, it was a game, it was very similar to what we had in the past. which was a matter of initially not knowing that we are talking about needs before we knew about NVC, but we talked what's our principles, what brought us together, what do we want to do for our life and for one another. And that's how we usually started a conversation. And now with NVC, nonviolent communication, we realized that we always talked about our needs. And if we get really grounded in that realm of needs, is something that strategies come very easily, and alignment and support for keeping this decision together, it's also very strong, and it's something that we commit. It's not something that I gave up now in order to win the next time, to keep the score in some way. So I think we take big decisions by how we take small decisions, everyday decisions, just being aware of serving ourselves as individuals and serving ourselves as a family.
So that sounds like you take the decision to kind of a deeper level. So you're not just staying on the surface, you're kind of diving quite deep into what's really important for you both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the picture I'm getting is that decisions kind of make themselves when you go there.
Yeah, so even with this decision with the house, we look that certain needs will not be fulfilled if we move to a house. And yeah, probably, we don't know yet, but probably other needs will be fulfilled. So we realize, how can we in this context, we can do the best of our needs, to meet the best of our needs. And we got very wonderful strategies, which took us very gracefully throughout COVID. And we actually, you cannot say that you like it, but we actually saw that we took a lot of work on ourselves, and we literally got out stronger than when we got in, sort of. So I think this matter of not just debating about a solution and finding reasonable arguments to convince the other, which always leaves some scars, or you actually you just use not who you are, but how good you are as a negotiator, or how good you are as a salesperson or something. But looking through this deeper level, we really take in consideration that we want to be together here. We don't want to have a constant fight between us. We are working this for the long run. So it's no use for me or for her to trick the other part in submitting my or her suggestion to convince the other.
This keeping this wanting to be together, because I really love that expression. We want to be together. It's a conscious decision to be together, but it comes from a wanting. How do you keep that alive? How do you keep the kind of the desire, the wanting to be together, the attraction for each other? How do you keep those things alive?
I'm not sure if we are mainstream or not with our perspective, but I have to admit that I don't recognize it that often when we talk with other couples, which is this concept of having to do something to keep the flame going. Our perception, now we're 16 years now. This year will be 16 years since we are together. So definitely we got together because we like each other. We got married because we were attracted to one another. We did not marry after 1 month. We married after 3 years. So we kind of went through different stages. So definitely the desire, the passion was there sometime, right? And then spring, but you see that life is just flows. It's so natural. You just, it's not something like you need to put logs on the fire, but actually just to let, not to stop the fire. So not preventing the desire to manifest. That's actually the work that we do. So it's not like we have to do something for it, but rather to clean up or to take on this, how do you call it? Not to have something to prevent, to stop it, because naturally it happens. You know, so we have this type of cleaning, let's say, you know, that we take these things that might deter us from our path or our desire to be together. We have warning signals who are quite often, and in this way we just see that the desire and the passion, we don't have to work on it, it just comes, it's life itself.
Sounds like it's like a river that's flowing through the relationship, and you just need to make sure there's no debris getting in the way. You're kind of keeping it clean.
Exactly, or dams, or yeah, high walls.
How did starting a family impact that? Because my experience is that my own experience and talking to many couples, is that starting a family, it does introduce a particular challenge in this area. I'm wondering how did that appear for you? How did you navigate that?
It was a difficult time. We have to admit, the first 2 years since our daughter came along with us on this journey, and it was somehow not consciously, but what helped us is that I had my baby too. So my wife had our baby, which I was not necessarily invited that often between her and my daughter. And just, I started a new business exactly on the exact year when she came with us. So I had my mind and my intention put in there, and I saw the connection, how this will provide and support our family, and just realizing that for the time being, that's my role, you know. And even a few years later, I realized that actually those 2 years, the first 2 years of our daughter, turned me to be not as a father, but rather a better husband. So my role in educating my wife, educating my daughter in the first 2 years, was actually to be a better husband for my wife. So that, and then of course, as my daughter grew up, our relationship changed, and now we have our own time. We have the adventure time, the exploration time. Yeah, it's very different. And now it's enriching our relationship. And also one thing that keep us, include or no, did not put us on the track of seeing our daughter as an obstacle for our relationship, is that considering her age, we try to involve her anytime to take in the decisions that we make. So as much as possible, according to her age, of course, we try to get her opinion and to see that this is us together. So it's not me and my wife and she's somebody who you are the obstacle, or you're the obstacle of something. In saying that, already we remind ourselves that she's just passing by. She's not here to stay. let's give her the best we can in terms of education and resources and love and care, but we know that she's leaving. So
Yeah.
let's not get attached to her that much.
So you're already preparing for that,
Yeah.
kind of in a way.
Yeah, it's more of the idea, not necessarily the fact. I mean, I know things will be different when she's gonna be 20 or something.
Yeah. You said you have your time with your daughter, and she's
10.
what?
She's 10.
She's 10. So those first 2 years are quite some time ago, and so it sounds like you found some ways to devote time for you and her. How do you do the same with your wife? How do you create that couple time, that relationship time?
Uh-huh. Um, so in when we met, I was working mainly in the weekends, so leaving Friday to Sunday when she was free. So she was working during the week, and this carried on for quite some years until this stopped. So we didn't have the weekends as other couples have to have time for themselves. So rather than see this as an obstacle, I mean, it was actually something that my wife started, was to have a time in the evening, no matter how tired we were, just to talk, just to know who you are, where you are, what's in your mind. I just want to hear and see your world. It's not to it's not to control, it's not to teach you anything, which was actually uh, my bad habit, to try to solve her issues, which stopped some time ago, but rather just to know about each other. And this habit, even if throughout the day or even the week, sometimes we barely see each other or we don't talk that often, uh, having this time was an anchor in our relationship. And it was a matter of profound intimacy about another human being, not just as a matter of man or woman or husband or wife. And so having that, according to our phases in our life, one habit that we have, but then did not serve us anymore because our situation changed. We had our Wednesdays were our weekend. So we had the Wednesday was off work, not doing, just we went to movies and walk in the park and yeah, things like people do in the weekends.
You kind of dated. Wednesday was your date
Yeah,
day.
the way, yeah. But now what we have right now, so we are not getting stuck with a strategy, but rather we are constantly looking at what's the best strategy to serve our need for connectedness and according to our life situation. So, okay, putting aside COVID period, we have our a tour of restaurants in Cluj every time something new. We even had the joke that we're gonna have a blog where we're gonna say our experience over there, curate all the restaurants in Cluj. So we have that as a habit, and feels like a date. And we even sometimes we go from home, but sometimes we just have a place to date, and then the other is taking the other one to a secret place. We don't know. So it's fun, but it might be silly, but it's something that sparks um, just some having play. Yeah, to have some playfulness in our relationship. Then we like board games, and there are some hard emotions might stir up. We play with some friends and also in the family. So yeah, and also what we like. That's also something that we really enjoy is cooking, but we're doing cooking in a very, I'm not sure, a different way. I'll try to separate that. But um, like she's ordering me what to do in the kitchen. So tell me what to do. I'm there, and whatever she asks me, I'm doing. Which for me, recognizing me as more of a alpha leader and pushing things in my regular life, this is it's a way of seeing the other side and see another type of leadership and how we can do things together. But this is also something that we enjoy, and actually we don't need very special things. That's why I realized. And I just talked with her like a couple of days ago that um, you can have sacred moments in the most basic and simple everyday things. And how we do these simple everyday things, we do the big, grandiose moments of our life. So we don't search for big celebration or big events, but rather having the joy of seeing her in the morning and how are you, how did you sleep, and just having a hug like I did not see her for the last 12 hours, and these things I think are more important than the big thing events. And
I love this picture I'm getting of kind of bringing in the, use the word sacred, but also the love, the joy of being together in the small day-to-day stuff.
yes,
It doesn't need big plans and big trips and spending lots of money and making big occasion of it. It's in the day-to-day. It's in the small things like preparing food together, or making sure every day you're sitting down and talking to each other, just sharing what's in your life. I really love that picture. I'm wondering with this communication, it sounds like your communication is working in many different forms, in many different ways. We talked about decision making, you've talked about sharing. How has nonviolent communication added to, let's say, the quality of your communication? I mean, if it has, assuming that it has, but in what ways has it supported your relationship and your communication particularly?
I think I mentioned before, it was one important thing was the fact of realizing that we talk about needs. So this awareness of needs, it brought us a lot of clarity. So in that way, it's very, very rare hearing us or having a conversation about you don't do that, or blaming the other for doing something, or even if it happens, the next second we realize, okay, there's not the way to go. Let's look at the needs. And we are glad that both of us have this awareness. So if one of us is losing his temper, the other one is present to bring us back. So that's one level. Another level was something that we did not like about our relationship, the conflict times, which was something like me raising the voice and shutting the doors, and her to start crying and stop talking. And it was very frustrating for both of us. So it did not work from the beginning, but with gentle progress and knowledge of both of us in terms of techniques in nonviolent communication, we are now at the point where we can have a conflict, as we like to say, with an open door, which means our daughter can hear us. And we are not either ashamed or afraid of anything, of what this conflict will bring us. And there are emotions there. It might be, yeah, even some decibels going up, but through the help of NVC and the awareness of expressing our feelings and empathizing and listening to one another, we can go through a conflict much faster and with very sustainable results. So that's, I mean, that's for us, it's huge.
I'm interested also in your life as parents, because you've talked a little bit about how you're relating and how your wife is relating to your daughter, who's, as you say, who's 10 now. So yeah, I'm curious, what are the most important things for you, kind of the foundational principles of being parents?
I remember we had a conversation when she was pregnant. I think we saw some TED talk or something like that, and we both of us realized that school had the mark on us. The school that we took had the mark on us, but actually we missed until very late in our life the school of life. And that's something that we promised ourselves to do for our child. I don't think we knew at that time that we had a daughter. And that was to show her, to teach her, but mainly to live a healthy lifestyle, so to know about how to keep herself healthy and how to find about herself, how to know about herself, and how to be able to share her gifts to the world. So that at that moment we did not that was something that we still craved as young adults. We realized, oh man, I mean, if I knew those things much earlier, that would help me so much right now. So that's something that we had on our mind, to keep our child healthy and happy, and teach her these principles by living them. So through that, I think we kept that line. So even right now, we saw through COVID, both me and my wife, we start to, some apartment gymnastics and things like that. And we saw that our daughter doesn't like that so much. But I said, if we force her, that will be the wrong approach. How about we just show up? She sees a model, and the time will come when she will see the benefits, and she will do it from her calling. And we saw these things through so many expectations that as a parent you have for your child, to read faster or read better, or to clean up after herself or things of hygiene and all this. And we realized that if we push, nothing happens. If we just encourage and support, time will come and she's doing all those things that we were so eager to do 2 years ago. But it's no difference if she did it now or then. But it is a difference now, because now she's doing because she's believing in this. So that's why I think the third principle in guiding for us is, no matter what we try to show her or teach her, first of all, let's leave it. Let's be aligned with what we try to ask her that is better. So if she's staying too much on her tablet, let's check our time on our devices first. You know, so this was quite a big deterrent for major conflicts with our daughter so far, because we just realized that she's literally doing in her own world what she's seeing from us.
Yes, it also removes the hypocrisy of parenting when we're telling our children to do one thing and we're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm getting a picture of like being very aligned with your wife on how you raise your daughter. Was it always like that, or was there a process that you needed to go through to kind of align what was important for you as parents?
So let's say right now we have we can say we have a disagreement on how good she or how much effort our daughter should do in scoring good grades. All right. So even if both me and her, we were, how do you call it, A grade students or top of the class, both of us realized that what we truly learn and helped us to help other people, call jobs or or business, was learn on our own after school, or after the school was over. So it was self-development. So here is the debate between us right now. This is very present right now. That my belief is that if our daughter doesn't really want to study geometry, then let her be. You know, she's passionate about drawing. You know, she can be a great designer someday. You know, she doesn't need geometry, or maybe she does. I don't know. But my wife goes the other way. Says creativity is based on very solid foundation. You know, she needs to know the ABCs. And if right now doesn't understand the basics, she cannot be creative with more complex things. And rationally, I agree with her. But then when I see how she is pouring so much patience with her, explaining over and over again, and now my daughter is like, she's resisting, and I'm both cheering for both, you know, saying, go on, speak for yourself, you know, but also, please, Raluca, be patient because you're doing the right thing. And I'm looking from outside, realizing that me as a trainer, you know, I don't like to train or to teach or to speak to other people who doesn't want to be there, you know. So I think I'm just gonna this is one principle actually that applies to a lot of things in our life. If it doesn't bother me, then, and the other one is willing to do it, or she in this case likes it, then let her do it. So it doesn't bother me because we see the progress. But I'm staying present, I'm not abandoning. So for example, now she just had a week of test. Every day she had a test. It's obvious that it's 20% difference in her, in our daughter, being fully present to the task. If she's just fully present, there's just 60 to 80% jump, right like this. And yeah, last night we have this conversation that yesterday she was a bit disappointed of her. Later, after she saw, oh, I did not see that, and so I thought of a story, because I like metaphors, to bring myself in this context to help her. So I told her, what's your favorite food? And she said, it's sushi. I know it's sushi. So how about next time when you eat sushi, you take half a bite and you savor it, you like it, and the other half, you throw it away. How will that be for you? It's like, no, sushi, you don't throw away sushi. So it's the same with this, with the test. You know, when you have it, you know, it's just 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Just enjoy it. Stay there as much as possible. Maybe there are some pieces that you don't know. That, yeah, that's normal. You're gonna learn them. But at least what you can eat and you like, do it until the end, like sushi. So today she had her test, and when she came out, she like was storming through the door, and she was saying, "I eat all the sushi." And she got a score close to 90%. So yeah, it's quite decent. But even before she knew that the score, she had a satisfaction of her being present there at the test and enjoying it. So coming back to your original question, I think we are quite aligned with our principles. You know, deep down, we kind of vote for the same party, we cheer for the same team, you know. We kind of like the same games or the same, I don't know, even say some of the same books. So we know that on our core, we are very similar, even if people who met us see that we are very different when they experience ourselves. But deep down, we are very similar. And it's important to see that and notice that our strategies complement each other. And at the right moment, I can be of support, and at the right time, she's greater of support. But we know the common purpose.
I'm going to use this river metaphor again, because the picture I'm getting is in this area. You know, you're as a couple, and as parents, you're a single stream, but from time to time you kind of branch off and kind of go on parallel tracks. Yeah. But the river itself has space for both. So the story you were telling, what you were describing with your daughter, it sounded to me like there is no fundamental misalignment. You have different approaches, but you're kind of bringing both of them at the same time. There's enough space for both.
Yes, yes. And I mentioned, I think this is one of the core things that helped us a lot in whatever we define harmony. I think it's between people in general, but now we're talking about couples. Is that we in early stages of our relationship, and even since then, we are very aware of this, of not getting stuck behind any not judgments, evaluations, or labels. You know, like this is women's job, or this is what men have to do, or any things like that. So I can give you an example. I mean, in our principle is let's look on what one person likes to do, and that person who has the fulfillment to do that, let that person do it. And if it's not something that we either of us enjoy, but it's still something important for us, let's see if one of us is not bothered by it. And if it's a thing that we neither of us and both of us are bothered, let's see if we can delegate it or eliminate it for our life, from our life. And I can give an example of how we clean up our clothes, for example, right? So we just have a bin where we put the dirty clothes, right? My wife enjoys enjoys, right? To separate them by color and put the certain amounts in the washing machine and the right program, tech savvy or that, the washing machine is still a mystery to me. So, but as soon as the washing circle is over, uh, it's my pleasure. It's really my pleasure to take the clothes out and put it on the string. And it became something that me and my daughter is doing, and we have our own thing that when uh, my wife she's doing, if that's the case, if she's putting the clothes on, we realize that, oh, they are so bad, you know. Doing it. So then we take the clothes, and I like to fold them. I really like to fold them and separate them. My wife doesn't like that at all. But then again, even if I don't like it, I can iron my shirts, right? I can iron my shirts. It just takes me about 35 minutes. It's not a joke. That's literally how long it takes me. I'm not skillful, and it's not like I hate it. It just, yeah, that's how I know to do it. So of course, in 35 minutes, she's doing 3 or 4. So she's doing the ironing, right? But not because it's the women's job to do it. It's just something that, if you see through all this process, and each one of us is doing something for the common purpose, right? And it's not like, oh, it's your clothes, you should take them on, or you should clean your clothes or my clothes. And it's the same with cleaning, the same with cooking, the same with education for Anna, the same with how we spend money, uh, all these things.
So it sounds like you've got everything kind of very well integrated and synchronized.
Yeah.
I guess it's not the case for everything, and you've described some things where there's some differences, but overall, it's like sounds like a well-oiled machine, to use another.
It works. Yes, it works.
Okay. So I've got one final question for you,
Right.
Alex. Tips and tricks. So if you could give 3 very quick tips for a successful relationship from your experience, what would they be? Kind of, what 3 one-liners.
Ah. The first one is to really know one another. And this started from my university, because my degree, my paper, how you call it, was on the role of positive illusions in couple relationship. And it just shows that if we don't have the ability to construct images, illusions, you can call them illusions, in order to fill in the holes that you cannot have in the first interaction with another person, we will not procreate. We need this in order to have the chemistry doing the things for us. So yeah, that might be useful in the beginning, but then if you really want to have a relationship, put love aside, take love as a bonus, and really know the other person, and see if you can accept to leave. I mean, accept in terms of not being happy, not to be masochist about it, but if you can live even with the things that you don't like and the other person is showing. So know thyself and the other in a very detailed way, in order to see if I will not love this person, I would like to spend time with her or with him, it would be my best friend. And in a way, that's one of the most important things to build on. The second one will be to not get stuck in the past and to always reevaluate and adapt to where you are right now. And yeah, take into consideration even the fact that right now in this moment of our life, we're not helping each other to go along. And it doesn't have to be, yeah, you can call it separation or divorce or whatever, but even this choice should be a conscious one, that we are not supporting each other anymore. And if you always check this, it can be a ritual once a year. Would I marry you today if I knew you as I know you now? And if you have doubts about it, then have a really serious conversation to either lift you up, fix it, because it will be a certain doom. So adapt. And one, as a general, you ask for three, always three, right? It's something that glues us. All of this is find way to truly communicate. And I have to admit, even as a former communication trainer, when I first encountered nonviolent communication, I didn't know that I knew so little about communication. So even if you're not aware of it, or if you don't want to have a career or something like we have, look at different models of communication and find one that is suitable, and it helps you a lot to keep the constant contact of energy flowing between the two of you.
So on that note, Alex, I'd like to give a big thank you. For me, this was fascinating. I just loved this conversation, and yeah, there was some things that were really striking for me, and I'd like to take away and think about and apply in my relationship. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy, for your heart. And
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, it was really fun. Same to you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Alex. Goodbye.